This season, we are doing something very, very unique and very specific. We're going to dive really deep into the business of some of the fastest growing brands out there.
We went from $5,000 a month, and within a year, we were on the $1 million a month mark.
We're going to talk about their numbers. We're going to talk about their funnels. We're going to talk about exactly how it is that they grew.
We'd start with a moderate spend anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000, and then we'd scale up. If we can nail a CPA under $35 and get a return on an investment on that first purchase, then we're already in the green. The quicker that we move them onto that third tier of customer, the more money we were going to make, because we were estimated to have a lifetime value that exceeded $250 if they got to that subscription model.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mikael here. Welcome back to another episode of Funnel Vision. This is a brand new season for Funnel Vision, and this season we are doing something very, very unique and very specific. We're going to dive really deep into the business of some of the fastest growing brands out there. We're going to talk about their numbers. We're going to talk about their funnels. We're going to talk about exactly how it is that they grew. And I have a guest today that I'm very, very excited about. He's going to be the first guest of this season, which is really cool because he's been an advocate of Funnel Alytics, a user of Funnel Alytics for years, and he has built some pretty incredible growth engines, very, very data-driven. This is Nicholas Delgado, who is a guest here, CEO of TNA. Nick, how are you doing?
How's it going, man? Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to dive into a lot of this. I would love for you to start off with your not so humble bragging rights. Basically, tell everybody, who you are, what you've been able to achieve for yourself, for your clients. Go ahead and dust off the shoulders a little bit and don't be afraid to brag a little bit.
So we were a marketing and business analytics company. We've gone into quantitative modeling because just our process works, and it works really well, and it works really quick. It doesn't take a lot of people, and it uses AI. We're able to make decisions much faster than normal teams using data science. When you combine data science with ad spend and e-commerce, if you do it right, it can go really quick. So the last project I was on, we went from $5,000 a month, and within a year, we were on the $1 million a month mark. And that quarter, we made $3 million, $1 million back to back to back.
Wow.
So
that's what we're going to dive into. First and foremost, let's talk about what kind of company was this? This was obviously a eCom business, but walk us through the business model. What exactly were they selling? Walk us through that a little bit.
So D2C, average order value was a little under $30 when I got there. Only had about 3 or 4 products, Shopify, naturally. And there wasn't really a foundation. It was, I'm going to grow this business out of my parents' basement, and we're going to see what happens. There was a good message behind it. He started the brand in the name of his mother to honor his mother. We went full in.
So walk me through a little bit of what that means. So you get in there, $5,000 a month, which means that, they're testing some things on ads. Maybe it's working, maybe it's not. And then you get it to $1 million a month within kind of a year and a bit. So walk me through the steps. So first and foremost, what did you do when you first got in there, when they're at $5,000 a month?
We just turned on some ads, started spending minimally just to get traffic to the website and to really just test and see where the performance was.
What channel?
Facebook only.
Okay. So all on Facebook. So you came in, you decided to start giving a test. Where were you sending traffic? Is it just to the generic Shopify store? Would you use build landing pages?
Homepage. And I never send traffic to a store, to the actual organically visible domain. But for this purpose, what we wanted to do was test the website, test the navigation, understand how the users flow through the website. That's when Funnel Alytics really comes in handy. You're able to observe from a high level view, what's happening. And all you're trying to do is figure out, well, which one gives me the highest conversion probability, right? Which one, if it takes a specific pathway or channel, how do I identify that channel and how do I scale? And that's generally our approach when we come into any situation. We just want to see what is performance like organically, and organically, aka no retargeting. I'm not pushing you or guiding you in a direction. I want to see what you naturally do, given that you click the ad and now you're home.
Okay. And you said that these were they had 4 products?
About 4 products in the course of that year and a half. He released about 4 or 5 more. So I met him very much in the infancy of the brand.
All in the skincare products?
Organic products, vegan, no chemicals, no parabens. It was a good product. And that's what made me hold on. It was a good product, and people around me said it was great. And then I wasn't even much of a skincare guy. Always had a little bit of acne in high school. And I tried the cleanser, and he introduced me to something called double cleansing. I didn't even know what that was. Turns out it's a good thing to try to apply in a Miami summer.
Yeah, nice. So what did you do in the ads in the early days? So obviously you wanted to kind of get, some traction and just measure the waters and all that stuff. But did you have to try to position the product a certain way? Were you thinking about offers? Like, walk me through how you decided to go about advertising the product.
Once we started getting a little bit of traction, we would get sales here and there. It was really identifying a high converting audience, right? Okay. We needed a spin on it. We needed a way to penetrate the market. A manufacturing friend told me that the beauty industry and its customers are very much promiscuous, right? And then we started to dive into and strategize around another customer, which was a male skincare user, and a male skincare user that was very much like the brand owner, very similar characteristics, aesthetic, works out. We wanted to cater that to him because what we found was with these influencer leading brands, there's a deeper connection with the actual owner of the business speaking to himself, quote unquote.
Sure.
And we honed in on that. And luckily we hit. We used a lot of different audiences and kind of just deciding which ones to include and kind of really grind in on finding an audience about 2 to 5 million on Facebook and then hitting them with an array of different ads, not focusing on conversion immediately. I think it's scalable, but with how many brands are coming out, the times changing, the digital space rapidly evolving, if you have an opportunity, you might not have it again.
Right.
And I've been through that personally. So we usually went for view content, believe it or not.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
So you started off a low budget, walk me through, and everything was to the main store. Did it stay like that throughout the cycle of the scale, or did you change up the strategy?
We changed up the strategy many times. I remember it was Black Friday. We had just made 2 months prior, $1 million. And I noticed that there were eye masks available and they were actually being bought. Since that was a high margin product, we threw it in a bundle within 24 hours and we offered it to not only within that bundle, but free at checkout as an upsell once you reach the specific threshold above our target average order value, because it's all about profitability on Black Friday as well as scale, right? You want to acquire new customers, but you want to increase that average order value. The higher you can increase that average order value, the more you can spend.
But specifically where you were sending traffic, did that ever change as you scale? Like, were you always...
Yeah, we went to landing pages. We went to landing pages eventually, and then we would fortify that with emails, pop-ups, and different things like that.
So if I'm just kind of reverse engineering what you're saying, basically you started off a low spend going directly to the website, then trying to understand which products and how people are navigating, where people were naturally gravitating towards. At what stage did you say, okay, it's time to start putting together landing pages? And did those landing pages have just one offer, like one product specifically?
We started putting together landing pages when we started identifying the offer, the customer, and the moment in time. Skincare is very seasonal, right?
Sure.
Like the rest of e-commerce.
Yep.
So if you miss the mark for summer, for example, you're not going to have another summer opportunity till next summer. Right. So what we really did was we focused in on who is the person, right? And we targeted that person. And beyond popular belief, we did not go straight for conversions. We knew we weren't selling t-shirts, right? We would create landing pages with different quizzes. We split gender almost immediately. And because we found out, we ran some tests, the average order value was quite different for a man versus a woman. and their lifetime values were very different too. So upon that split, we were actually being advised by all the ads channels to say, hey, just throw them in the same bucket. And we refused to do that. It wasn't going to give a personalized approach. And what we did was we split those audience segments up, created avatars. I think we had at the end maybe 6 or 7, because once you establish those people, you can go to Spanish speakers.
Sure.
Right? You can go to other places in the market, but we were really hyper focused on identifying who's going to be our most profitable customer in the beginning, because that's who we want to target. That's where that return on investment is going to be. It was hard breaking the business owner out of it. But since we weren't selling t-shirts, I told them we need a 90-day period to get these individuals to convert, right? A lot of brands just go straight for the conversion, or create a funnel that may or may not, with ads and tracking, making sure that there's no overlap. You can try it. It might not work. So what we did was that we built this system that it's a rolling 90-day calendar. And we used Asana and a bunch of different project management systems. We weren't so much worried about the exact return on investment, because we knew the lifetime value was there. It was only a matter of time until they converted and came back, because that was the lifetime value metric was our North Star. If we knew that the customers would end up spending $180 over the course of the next 90 to 120 days, we would know that, well, now it's email's job to really pick up the weight, identifying those target audiences, hyper-focusing our attention there, funnels around those first landing pages, not even focusing about the sale, not even focusing on the product, rather the pain point, issue that they're going through, and then kind of telling a story. And every 90 days, we'd pick, a sale. We had moderate sales going on on abandons and pop-up offers and different things like that, but honing in on the 90-day wave, quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter, and making sure that we're focused on the conversion of 3 types of customers, and the only 3 types of customers that actually matter: first-time customer, returning, and then a subscription offer. We knew, and we had calculated, that the quicker that we move them onto that 3rd tier of customer, the more money we were going to make, because we were estimated to have a lifetime value that exceeded $250 if they got to that subscription model. So I wouldn't care if I acquired them for a little bit over $15, $20, $30, $40. It was just a matter of increasing the average order value if I wanted to see that lifetime value come up, and fortifying my acquisition strategy with a post-purchase plan, and not focusing on making sure I have all these flows and funnels and different things built in, because odds are, if you don't have a customer, what is a post-purchase series going to do? Yeah,
it doesn't do anything.
So exactly. And I'm a sole operator. I know development, I know design, ads, influencer marketing, I know marketplace marketing, you name it, I've done it. So I guess that's where a lot of the ROI comes from, not having such an expanded team. And we went global. We had teams in South America, we had teams in India, teams in Africa, teams in Europe. And what we did was we built and fortified a team that was willing to commit to the vision. And it ended up working well. But getting into the math, it was a matter of modeling the value, constant monitoring of the CPA, and then analyzing the growth as it pertained to the store. First-time customer, returning customer, lifetime value. How are they converting? What was the velocity? And what was the value? And if that value was increasing from stage to stage. It's a lot of manual work in the beginning, but then you find software, right, that help you do that.
Yeah. So you talked about those 3 phases, right? So acquiring the customer, then the repeat buyer, and then eventually moving them on to the subscription. Walk me through the numbers. In order to get that first buyer, you needed 90 days. So is that basically from the first time they saw the brand as an ad?
First time they purchased. So this is what I would tell the owner, that when they purchase the first time, ideally we'd be profitable, right? If we can nail a CPA under $35 and get a return on an investment on that first purchase, that takes into consideration the shipping, the incentive, the fulfillment costs, all of that, the pick and pack, then we're already in the green. With our new product launches, we saw a massive wave of new customers and returning customers. That's when we knew we would grab them. And bring them back, because they genuinely enjoyed the product.
How did you collect leads for the people who weren't ready to buy right away?
Pop-ups, different series of pop-ups, depending on where they landed. A lot of people they won't separate organic traffic from the paid traffic coming to the website. So if you use different pop-ups for different pages and you really only isolate those pages, it's a way to identify where the origin of the traffic, because tracking, again, kind of there, sometimes not there. Sometimes we've learned that we were just looking at revenue. We were looking at transactions, and we were looking at our media spend and the relationship it had to the transactions and the value of those transactions. I stopped looking at month. There's 52 weeks. There's incentives, there's campaigns, different things that are happening, but there's sales, and you need to keep a constant influx of new customers. And very strong first-time offers. I was going to beat any competitor on my first-time offer. If there was a competitor out there and they had a similar product, my first-time offer won. New customer offer that I would go with, highest AOV. And we were constantly testing that, depending on where they came from, what they would be interested in, until we found our hero product.
You say pop-ups. So what were people opting in for? Is it just like a 20% discount off your first order? Is it like, what were the pop-ups? Give me some examples.
Different orders or different product combinations. In the beginning, it was hard because there was only 4 types of products, or maybe 5. We were only worried about new customer acquisition. So once we found that it was a bundle and there was a filler and then there was the caffeine eye cream, and when we actually stacked them together and they realized how much value they were getting, we went from percentages to dollar amounts off. We tested that quite frequently. It could be $1 and 10% off, or, 10 cents. That's a big difference. So testing the messaging, again, we weren't concerned about anything else other than our acquisition. We knew if they were warm enough, they would come to the landing page. And that landing page was kind of the tell-all be-all, because we had a special pop-up for that landing page. And if the pop-up didn't get them, we were just aiming for the highest conversion rate for that pop-up, because we know once we had our emails and our SMS activated, the ads, if I had to, would be used for that retargeting. But I wasn't willing to try to hold on to anything I didn't need to. We were launching a lot of traffic to the website at that point. We were scaling. And again, this is when I think we went from view content to add to cart. All we wanted was add to carts. And we knew that if our add to cart converted above a specific percentage, maybe 40%, right?
Yep.
Why pay double the CPA if I'm getting 50% of that initial CPA cost for my add to cart costs, if not cheaper?
Yeah.
And then converting them, it was much cheaper to actually make it 2 touch points for that initial acquisition than try to seal it right there and then. Because ironically enough, if my targeting's on point, they would have added to cart on that page. And if the audiences aren't on point, hopefully my pop-up was my last chance. But as long as I was offering a strong enough offer, that opt-in would do its job, and they would move into the middle of the funnel, and we would start warming them up a little bit. And middle of the funnel as it pertains to new customers, right? The second stage, rather.
So walk me through the scaling strategy in terms of ads. Like, how did you scale? How quickly did you scale? What were you spending in order to be making $1 million? And like, was it a linear scale in terms of you're just stacking and doubling? And walk me through what did that look like?
So that's an interesting question. You'll hear a lot of agencies, they're asking for a budget, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought to myself years ago when I worked for an agency, if for some reason my cold traffic is converting at double the rate and my average order value has increased 40, 50%, everything looks good to scale. Why wouldn't I scale? Oh, well, we only have $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 in budget. But is the client at the end of the month going to be happy that we hit a 10-to-1? I often get that. I used to get that question a lot.
I know. I never understood why people ask for budget either. It's always a weird thing.
It's if you're staying in the constraints of profit and your conversion rate starts to go up, spend more. Right? The CPA might go up because you're not generating enough clicks to actually move through. The minute that you see that, but your conversion rate is still high, it's begging for spend. And you have to know when to pull on these growth levers, right? So you originally asked, how is that spend? For 1 month out of every quarter, we didn't care. We knew we were going to get conversions because we always had a few conversion campaigns locked in at the bottom of the funnel. But we were more so worried about add to carts.
Yeah.
And there was a month that we were dedicated to getting the cold eyes, getting our returning customers up, we didn't have subscriptions yet. So once we started really driving the add to cart value and really honing in on all of our metrics, we started to develop sales campaigns per individual customer type and get a little bit more personalized with that. We had a returning customer incentive, maybe double points, right, for your next purchase. Depending on where they were at in the funnel, it was only a test away from identifying how to get them to the next stage, right? But you have to be really honed in. We use K-means it's an algorithm to identify groups of individuals that met a specific profile and that they were more likely to be grouped together. And that's what we really use to, I guess, break out our approach. We wanted to find the highest converting product. We wanted to find the highest converting customer. And then we marketed to them in their unique stages of their customer lifecycle, right? And we weren't so pushy on the sales. We stayed away from sales, as a matter of fact, or incentives, because we knew that deteriorated the brand over time. And the phase 2 of growth was to start penetrating. We were actually the first beauty brand on TikTok Shop when it opened. I think we were, out of the 3 top beauty brands that year, we were the only small business in that group, meaning that we were probably with The Ordinary and another big brand, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales.
Right.
We were the first to move. We've always had good relationships with our paid media providers or the platforms. Yep. So we had an opportunity to get in there with TikTok, and we found a way to scale very dramatically. Video views, that's extremely underrated. Only going for conversions, you're not really building an audience. You're going to build up purchases over time, but you're not going to get the volume you need. And in the beauty space, if you don't get the eyeballs, you don't show the value, you won't survive. And
there's so many competitors.
It's a strategy called blitzkrieging, where you know the market that you want, you know your share of the market that you can grab, and you're going to put all that spend. And what ends up happening is people at that moment, these other brands, you're going to be the reason that cost per click goes up. You're going to be the reason that those brands fall off. And what you do is you hold on and you actually pick it up. And going back to the spend, in the beginning, we'd start with a moderate spend anywhere between, I guess, $30,000 to $40,000. And then we'd scale up. We'd really fill up the prospecting funnel. And then we were constantly aggregating total events, add to carts, initiate checkouts, purchases. And we built an internal dashboard for that. We wanted to see the funnel and we wanted to see the customer types and how well they converted to a loyal customer.
Yep.
And by having our fingers on the pulse, what we were able to do is focus on grabbing mass attention. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people at one time. And one thing led to another, influencers starting posting. And the next thing you know, we went viral. It was a byproduct of the top of funnel awareness we were investing into since day one. It was only a matter of time. I think Kylie Jenner's makeup artist ended up making a TikTok video about the product, saying that it was incredible. And we piggybacked that. And then we got a little aggressive with our marketing strategies. We went right after the competitors.
Nice. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, there's so much that we could dive into. And obviously, for the sake of time, I want to kind of wrap up here. So if you could kind of summarize in kind of 3 core lessons, what this took in order for you to kind of scale this from the 5,000 to 1 million and to really double down and get that to the next level. What were those 3 core lessons?
I would say 1, the application of data science to marketing is an absolute must.
Yep.
You cannot rely on the numbers that you're presented, because at the end of the day, if you don't see the bank account, you don't know the truth.
Yeah.
Amazon has a 17, 18-day payback period. So you might see that it comes into Shopify, but only the business owner is going to know that money, it's not there yet. Know your financials. That's number 2, I would say. Data science is a must. And I would say number 3, lean into AI. Don't be scared. I'd say that's one of the bigger reasons that we had the amount of success that we had, where we were a very small team. He was a very small team. I scaled his entire workforce internally. AI gives you the ability to communicate much faster and much more efficiently. And that's what it comes down to. It's not necessarily a product. It's more so a communication tool.
Totally.
And it's a data tool. It's a math tool. It's a calculator in itself. Once you see that, and can I add a fourth?
Sure. Go ahead.
In all honesty, Funnel Alytics is what gave the team a view of the board. That was the most predominant change in my workforce that happened, was when they saw the board. Light bulbs started popping and suddenly we were all on the same page. The pivots that I would explain, the things that I would say, it all made sense now. And everybody would get a little tired of, the constant change. They were all used to working at a different type of agency.
Yeah.
But once they saw the board, our strategies changed dramatically and we were suddenly all on par.
Yeah, communication and clarity is such an important part of the game, right? Like if people don't fully grasp why you're doing something, and even if you have the numbers, but they're stuck staring at a spreadsheet and they don't get it, then it becomes really, really hard. But once you can communicate in a way that they understand, it makes the world of a difference. Nick, thank you for being so open and transparent and sharing all of this. If somebody wants to scale their e-commerce brand from 5,000 to 1 million, I know you can't promise it for everybody, but certainly where can they learn more about you? Where can they contact you?
Head over to TNA Associates. TNA.Associates is our website, and LinkedIn. I'm mostly on LinkedIn. You can find some articles that I'm writing into the whole futuristic world economy thing. So give me a follow and send me a DM.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for being so transparent and sharing the numbers and sharing how you were able to scale this. This was a fascinating conversation. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.